Thank you, Leona. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll share with you some of the things happening in the village, in the community, in the beginning, how it started, and then Naomi will share also some of the things of her experience at our school, at our educational system, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. The community started in the early 70s by Father Bruno Hussar, a Dominican priest who came to the Holy Land as a delegate of the Vatican to start a study center in Jerusalem to study the origins of Christianity and Judaism. And his dream was to build bridges between peoples. And it's why he wanted to start a community where people from different faith backgrounds, people from different national backgrounds can come and live together and cooperate and run education programs together. It took a few years until first families believed in what he's calling for and what he's doing there. He was more or less by himself. Maybe some volunteers will join him from time to time. Some people will come for weekends or summer camps or something like that. So he was in top of Bear Hill by himself, and some other woman who joined him from the very beginning, Anne Laminian, her name. It took about 7 years. By the end of 77, the first families came and joined Father Bruno Hussar and built their houses there. It was a harsh beginning. There was no running water, no electricity, almost no paved street coming up to the village. And people had to start build all these things from the very beginning. We didn't really have much help from the government of Israel. Like every new settlement will have this initiative planning and help and being built and planned by the state itself. In our case, it was a private initiative and had to do everything by the efforts of people who lived there and others who helped by volunteering, by contributing, and by coming and do the actual work on the ground there. From the very beginning, many Arabs and Jews started to come, when they hear about the idea, started to come to Nabi Shalom and see how it works for Arabs and Jews to live together. And just 2 years after, in 79, the idea of the School for Peace evolved from having people coming there and wanting to talk about different issues concerning the relation between Arabs and Jews. And the School for Peace took the opportunity and built a program for encounter workshops for Arabs and Jews. Started, as Diana mentioned, with youth encounters for teenagers, and later on developed adult education programs. Through the years, we have developed our own approach of working with groups in conflict, specialized in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The main issue of our approach is that when we have problems, we have to talk about them. We don't have to hide from them. We think that it is more open, more frank dialogue, and it will bring people even closer together. When people put the issues in the table and yell at each other, and they are angry about each other, we think it's much healthier than just hide them behind them and try to be nice to each other and just talk about the commonalities and so on. So this is the program that were developed by the School for Peace. Today, about 2,000 participants go through the programs every year. And when I say program, a program might vary between 3 days encounter that happens in the village itself, and sometimes it is a year-long encounter where an Arabic group and Jewish group meet each other once a week or once a month, depends on the program itself, for a year long. And in different meetings, they have the opportunity to discuss the different topics, and sometimes even to run projects together. Like last summer, we had a project for medical physicians, and they ran a clinic days mobile clinic days at the Palestinian occupied territories to help Palestinians to get some medical treatment in these places that don't have clinics themselves or don't have access to health care. The School for Peace so far have worked with about 40,000 participants since '79 until today, with various groups and various sectors. We try to get the influential ones that can have multiple effects, like journalists, like teachers, like social workers, and so on. People who work with other people and can deliver the message for their own. Because one of our aims is to get to as many people as possible, and not to keep the idea and the model that we have developed only for the people who live there in this community, but to share our principles and our thoughts with others, and to invite others to be involved, and to invite others to contribute to the idea, to come into dialogue with the outside world. The second educational program is we call the interior education system of the village. It started with a nursery, a daycare for Arab and Jewish kids, which was the first one in Israel, in fact. In Israel, all over Israel, education is segregated. You have the Arab education system and the Jewish education system. Kids don't come together at any age. And when the daycare was opened in Neve Shalom, as the community, it was just natural to have all kids come together to the same daycare. And it's where we started to think about how do we want to raise our children. Since Arabs and Jews speak different languages, the culture is a bit different. There are different language differences, religious differences, and cultural differences, and so on. And we decided that we'll have two nurses at the same time in the daycare. When the Arab nurse will speak Arabic for the kids at all times, and the Jewish nurse will speak Hebrew to all kids at all times. And this way the kids will grow up with both languages from the very beginning. They will be acquainted with both languages, they will be acquainted with both cultures, and they will be more skillful and they will be more open than the way we, the adults, grew up with. Later on, the kids grew up, of course, and we opened the primary school. Today we have the primary school goes until 6th grade. In the early 90s, in 93, the school was recognized by the Ministry of Education in Israel, and it is when we were able to offer the education in our school for other communities, not only for the people who live in Neve Shalom, but families who live nearby and they want to send their kids to our school, and they could do that. Since 93, more and more pupils from nearby communities, from 20 different communities, students are bused into the school every morning and they go back to their homes in the afternoon. About 90% of them are not living actually in the community itself. And it is another way to outreach to these communities, to these families, when the whole family becomes involved when you go to this special kind of education. The third educational program that we have is Spiritual Pluralistic Center, and it is another way to outreach, because we believe some people would like to go through the programs of the School for Peace and talk about the conflict and have opportunity to go for some cooperation sometimes. Some people they would like to have kind of interfaith dialogue, and this is what the Spiritual Center suggests. It's interfaith dialogue where we run study days and seminars of issues concerning religious and peace, religious and conflicts, reconciliation, and so on and so on. So these are the three ways we try to get to as many people as possible in Israel, as well as